Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening for our Bhagavad Gita session. It's very enlivening to have your association and to discuss the deep topics that are presented by Krishna in his conversation, in his dialogue with Arjuna. So we're going to continue our journey through the 8th chapter. It's a short chapter, so we should finish it this evening. And then in our following class, we'll begin with chapter 9. So, as we always do, we'll start with the Sanskrit to put us in the mood of Bhagavad Gita to hear the transcendental sound vibration, which is coming from the Gita. And we'll start with text 20, which reads as follows. Paras tasmat tu bhavo nyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha ya sa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashati. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. So throughout the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, we have a nice section. Krishna is giving us the understanding that there are different dimensions to our reality. One dimension, of course, is what we see and what we hear and what we feel. And this is the dimension of being embodied in a material body with a material mind. And as we've discussed many times before, this body is made of certain elements, 8 elements to be precise, that Krishna delineates in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. The first 5 are considered gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. The second 3 are considered subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and ego. So this is what we have. This is what we see. This is what we relate to and relate in and out, this body. But Krishna says, previous to this verse, he says the manifestation and unmanifestation of the material world. So the manifestation and the unmanifestation is a cyclic thing. So it comes and goes, and it has that cycle. But it also is temporary. The material manifestation does not last an eternity. It is a temporary thing, and then it goes into an unmanifest state. So those are the 2 dimensions that Krishna speaks about. In this verse, what does he say? Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. So he makes that distinction, just like he makes the distinction in the 2nd chapter between what is prakriti, material nature, the material elements, and purush, our spiritual dimension. And also we have the spiritual dimension, which is producing consciousness. Consciousness does not come from matter. So consciousness is not a product of our body. Consciousness is a product of the spirit soul being present within our body. And again, as I've discussed many times, those material elements are given shape and form and the appearance of life based on the fact that this soul enters into it at the time of conception, when the sperm comes into the female body and goes to the ovum and pierces the outer protein layer of the ovum and then enters into the ovum. The ovum is just a mass of cells. You don't see the ovum, you don't see as a body, but it's a mass of cells. And what is that miracle? what is the magic that takes place when the sperm enters into the egg, the ovum? That cluster or grouping or mass of cells begins to transform. And this transformation process is due to the presence of the soul that is present within the sperm. And that soul gives motivation or activation to the elements to take their shape. So life is that, the presence of the soul into matter, and then the activation due to the consciousness of the soul giving life, activation, motivation to those elements, and transformation. Those cluster of cells actually take shape and form, which ends up being either the female body or the male body. So this is an understanding that we have of the material nature in its manifest form. Manifest means as we have it. Creation. The scientists will call that creation, as we have it. Unmanifest means dissolution. That's when everything is wound up. And this goes on and on. It's a cycle. It's cyclic, and both the manifest state and the unmanifest state are temporary. The only permanent thing, constant thing, is what Krishna is talking about here. There's another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental. So the soul, we don't see the soul. Only when we become qualified to be seers, then we can actually understand the nature of the soul and the nature of the transcendental energy of the Supreme. And that is when we are embarking on our journey, when we get some understanding that there is a distinction within us, within the framework of who we are, within our microcosmic, when we understand that there are material elements that are manifest and unmanifest, and then there's the spiritual nature, our spiritual nature, which is eternal. And it says unmanifest because while we're covered by the material elements, we don't actually know or see that spiritual dimension of our existence. What does enlightenment mean? What does self-realization mean? It means that. It means we know the nature of the material elements in its manifest state. We know the nature of the material elements in its unmanifest state. We know the presence and the nature of the soul in its spiritual, eternally present state of existence. So Krishna is trying to give us this understanding. All throughout Bhagavad Gita, in various ways, he comes back to this point. Why does he come back to this point? Because you really can't become self-realized unless you know this singular thing. You really can't stay motivated on the path of yoga unless you know this singular point, that you are not your body, your soul. You understand that you have charge of the body while you're in it, and therefore it's our responsibility, it's our duty to take charge and care of the body. That's part of our responsibility. We cannot be negligent when it comes to the body. The whole system of Ayurveda is taking care of the body. How do we take care of the body? By feeding it properly, not only feeding it properly, but also feeding it the proper foods at the proper times with the proper consciousness. So in this way, that practically demonstrates the awareness of the body and our responsibility to it. that when we are conscious, when we eat consciously, when we consciously choose the right foods, and when we perform sacrifice before we eat, in other words, acts of gratitude. That's what sacrifice means in Bhagavad Gita. It's the souls and within the system of yoga, particularly bhakti yoga, when the soul demonstrates its understanding of manifest matter, unmanifest matter, and the eternal spiritual nature. And yoga is the system or the discipline which helps us to understand the nature of all three and to set a priority. And what is the priority? Priority is to live in a state of spiritual consciousness. That truly gives us the understanding of our responsibility in relationship to the matter we are in contact with. So we have this microcosmic form of the body and its extensions. What does that mean? It means our environment, the home that we live in, taking nice care of it, making sure that it's clean and orderly. Your environment reflects the state of mind. If your state of mind is chaotic, your environment will reflect that. It'll be chaotic. It'll be disheveled. It will be messy. If the state of your mind is unclean, your environment will reflect that. So our responsibility is, to show, to demonstrate practically our understanding of this nature, material nature, and how we are in it and using it, and the spiritual nature. So how we are using our present situation in this body to understand our spiritual nature. It's not especially bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is not renunciation. Bhakti yoga is responsibility. Bhakti yoga is using what we have been given with a mindset of gratitude to the source from where it came. And so in the Bhakti Yoga system, we recognize that everything comes from the Supreme Lord. And Krishna even says that, I am the source of everything. Everything is coming from me. So we recognize that, and we utilize everything rather than rejecting it. Sometimes people will say, well, you get into bhakti yoga seriously and then you have to give up everything. Quite the opposite. You don't give up everything. You actually just recognize where the priority lies and how to use what you have, what you've been given, in a way that demonstrates your gratitude to the Supreme. This completes the relationship, we have relationship with ourselves. We have relationship with the external world, the world outside of us. We have relationship with other living entities, other souls, and we have relationship with the Supreme Soul, the God, in many different understandings, or the Supreme Personality, or Brahman, the energy. We have that relationship, and we demonstrate the understanding of that relationship by how we act within this world, whether we act responsibly or irresponsibly. Acting irresponsibly, not taking care of the body, not taking proper care of the mind, not taking care of the environment around you, not taking care of the souls that are close to you, the immediate, which is the family unit, the extension beyond the family unit, which is your neighbors, right? Could be your village or your neighborhood, There's an expansion of that. Then you're in your state. The expansion of that is in your country. The expansion of that is other countries. It's all interrelated. What happens when we forget that? We live in a state of separation. And one of the reactions to a state of separation is not being happy. So yoga means not to be separate, to be connected on all different levels. Ultimately, to connect yourself to the Supreme, but to do also to in that process, in that transformation process of trying to connect yourself to the Supreme, all the other parts fit. You see the connection. You see the relationship. That's where nonviolence comes in. Nonviolence comes in is because you recognize that all living entities are souls, whether they be trees or plants or animals. We have that recognition. We're able to see the connection. And when we're able to see the connection, we can maintain a state of nonviolence. We can maintain a state of truthfulness. Why do we maintain a state of truthfulness? That's dharmic. It's dharmic. And dharma means, there are many aspects to dharma, but it means how you would like to be treated is how you would react, how you act. In other words, you would not like someone to lie to you, to cheat you, to steal from you, to be violent towards you. And violence does not just mean physical violence. Violence can mean emotional. Violence can mean psychological. Violence can mean verbal. There's different ways. There's even a study in language when you know by the language that a person uses whether they're being aggressive towards you. So all of these different dimensions are very important, and the interconnectedness comes when we see the soul, its relationship with everything it comes in contact with, both spiritual and material, and ultimately the real connection, the dots on the paper, that line that connects them, right? The analogy is the more knowledge you get, we are living in this world, right? And we may be given a sheet of paper with dots on it. So the dots on it may not make any sense as it is. But when you start connecting the dots, then all of a sudden you see, oh, wow, that's a picture. That's a picture of a tree, or that's a picture of a bird, or that's a picture of a dog. You see, once you connect the dots. So being in this material world may not make any sense other than your immediate gratification. That's how we're tricked into thinking immediate gratification is the only priority in our life. We're tricked into believing that. Why? Because the illusion, Maya, is only showing us the dots. It's yoga and the development of a pure intellect and pure consciousness which is connecting the dots. And all of a sudden we see interrelatedness. And all of a sudden it makes sense that if I am treating other living entities in a violent way, ahimsa, to practice nonviolence, but if I am violent, there are dots that you are not connecting. If I'm not being truthful, there are dots that you are not connecting. And when you see that, there's no regulation in your life, when you see that there's no attempt to control your mind and your senses, all of these are indicators that the dots on your paper, which is your life, have not been connected because you're not seeing the interrelatedness of it. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna wants to give us the opportunity through yoga to understand the interrelatedness of everything and everyone. Yoga is a system or discipline which affords humanity the opportunity to reach its highest potential. Now, depending on the level of consciousness that we have, purely dependent on the level of consciousness that we have, will determine what you perceive as your highest potential. Some people whose dots are not connected, they see that having a really good-looking body, a really, nice shape, and tight skin, and hair is really, really nice. All the elements of the external. It doesn't mean that you can't be in good shape. It doesn't mean that you can't have nice hair. It doesn't mean that you can't take care of your skin. It doesn't mean that at all. It means if that is your investment, if you are investing in that and only that, then you are failing to see that there's more to you, much more to you than just that. You're investing your energy into the cultivation of the body or the mind. But those things, they are manifest according to your karma, and they are also unmanifest according to your karma. And the unmanifestation, that's called death. That means you leave that little microcosmic world of the elements that you're in. It may be predominantly white or predominantly brown or predominantly yellow or predominantly whatever. But you leave that world. And what happens then? Another symptom of not connecting the dots is you don't even care to consider what happens then at the time of the unmanifestation of the body. We've spoken about the gunas, the modes of material nature. And when there is a predominance of tamagun or ignorance, you're not even concerned about that. Everything is invested in that microcosmic world that surrounds you. And we're deluded into thinking that is it. That is the sum and substance of our existence. That is our focus. That is our obsession. But the development, yoga, means your highest potential. So your perception that your body is your highest potential and the development of your body as the highest potential, that is shortchanging yourself, cheating yourself. Why? Because practically speaking, there's another perceivable dimension to your existence. And what is that? That's your mind. So one could say, okay, with my yoga, I'm developing my body, I'm developing my mind, I'm developing a little self-restraint here, I'm holding this posture for a period of time, etc. I'm going to the yoga studio, twice a week, and you may consider that. Well, the cultivation of a mind, a sattvic mind, a nice-looking body, then that's a higher potential because now you've recognized two dimensions of your existence and you are trying to take care of it. But Krishna says, no, there's even a higher potential than that. What is that? Your intellect. It's the cultivation of your intellect. What is intellect? It's the ability of the mind to discern, to understand the distinction between right and wrong, the ability to set priorities, the ability to recognize the importance of having discipline in your life. Intellect is there. So then one will say, okay, my yoga develops my physical nature, my mental nature, my intellectual nature. I'm set. No, Krishna says no, but there's even a higher potential than that. And what is that? My ego, my identity. Ego means identity. Ego, when you believe what the ego is putting out to be the all in all of who you are, then that means edging God out. EGO, ego. You're edging God out. Because ego convinces you your only identity is the body, the color of the body, where the body takes its birth, the nature of the body, etc., and doesn't concern itself with relationship to God, then that's the ego. So the yoga, if yoga is now giving you an understanding that there is a dimension of your existence beyond the material elements, that we are more than just what we see, that we are something more than that, something greater than that, and that's the soul. So that is not even the highest dimension of our existence, our true ultimate potential. Why? Because it's not enough to just understand that you're soul. Once you do understand that you're soul, sure, there's a lot of benefits to that. And one of the benefits is you, in the true nature of the soul, then you experience a certain degree of happiness. But what does the soul do? Now we're getting into the highest potential. What is it in its eternal position? What does the soul do? So in the Bhakti Yoga process, it says that the soul's relationship with God is the highest dimension of existence. The soul's relationship with the source of everything. And it's not just a relationship in terms of the recognition of that fact, but it's actually developing a relationship with this supreme personality of Godhead, a loving relationship. And it's the recognition that this material world is a reflection of the eternal spiritual dimension of our existence. So when we speak about love, what is involved in that? When we talk about love, what is involved in love? Love in this world has its various flavors, right? The various flavors of love. You have love for your friend. You have love for your pet. You have love for your parent. As a parent, you have love for your child. You have love for your beloved, your partner. All of these are love, different types of love, but they all have their different flavor, don't they? Your love for a friend is different than your love for your beloved. Your beloved's also your friend, or at least hopefully they will be your friend. But there's more in a lover and beloved relationship than just friendship. There's other expressions of that sentiment. So you have friendship, you have parental, you have the love relationship that you feel for your children and for your parents, how you're receiving love from your parents, and you have the love relationship for your beloved. And there's also another dimension of love where you experience an interconnectedness with all living entities. That's how you are in the state of ahimsa, of nonviolence, because you actually feel the presence of another life form in the dog, in the cat, in the bug, in the bird, in the fish. So you don't want to cause any kind of stress or pain to that living entity, because real compassion means that you feel for others. So when we're developing our love for the Supreme, that love also it manifests. It automatically. It's a kind of the foundational state that we're in, from which all the other forms of love manifest. The interrelatedness with all living beings. So we experience that here in this world. Why? Because this world is a reflection of the spiritual world, the spiritual realm. So all those flavors of love exist can exist between the soul and God. And there's many, many different stories in the postgraduate study of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called the Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Bhagavad Purana, which displays very vividly and very lucidly those types of loving relationships with the Supreme, how they manifest and what it looks like, etc. So, yes, we want love, because this loving sentiment is an intrinsic to who the very essence of our being as soul. And without that love, someone is very miserable, not experiencing any kind of joy in their life. With that experience, even in this temporary realm, it's a happier life. It's a happier state of existence. They have done many different studies in the psychological world. They've done studies of what comprises happiness, and they've gone to different cultures. They've done many interviews, etc. And they determined that one of the highest features in this material world, which makes a person happy, is relationship with others. When you have meaningful, significant relationships with others, this is one of the primary contributing factors to being happy in this world. And it is a primary contributing factor to how we develop and experience our spiritual love. Now, some of you that are on now attended our program on Saturday night, and it was a real nice experience, wasn't it? The kirtan, the talk, hanging out with others of a similar mindset, eating nice food, with others and having wonderful conversation. This is one of the primary features of, bhakti. One of the primary features of bhakti is this kind of sangha. One of the primary features psychologists found as far as happiness in this world is also sangha. Good family relationships. Family relationships can be very positive, very good, and can be very devastating to the growth and development of an individual. We see that. There are many psychological studies which say, children that are raised in single parent situations. Of course, there are extraordinary parents out there that do an amazing job, even though they're dealing with that situation alone. But having the complete unit, and it's functional, not dysfunctional, but it's functional, is one of the sources of, positive growth and development. So all of these things are there. And this is the whole purpose of what we do every month, to bring people together people who are genuinely interested in the development of the understanding of their true nature. And we have a great time because that's our nature. Our nature is to have a great time. It's just how you have a great time. You can go to a place and you can dance and run around and do so many things, and it's great. It lasts for that period of time, and then you go home and it kind of evaporates. But when you do it in a spiritual setting, in the through the process of yoga, which includes kirtan and katha, which means discussions, philosophical discussions, it has a transformative effect where it doesn't evaporate, but it actually stays with you and it contributes to your growth and your development. Even, many religions say that when you're touched by the Spirit of God, then the characteristics, the attributes of kindness and compassion and friendliness, etc., develop. So this is an understanding. This is how we start cultivating those in association with each other. We chant, we dance, we honor spiritual food that has been offered to God out of gratitude, and we hear philosophical discussions, ask questions, questions that may plague us for a long time. Why this? Why that? And just like Saturday evening, we had several questions that were very, relevant to the discussion and very good to help, draw out a deeper understanding of what was said. So this is the kind of, in Ayurveda, two principal ingredients to be healthy: uh, proper diet and everything that goes with that, the proper foods for who you are, the uniqueness, the proper consciousness in which you eat that food, and proper lifestyle. Similarly, in the practice of bhakti yoga, there are various aspects in your lifestyle, and your diet that are important. 5 powerful features of bhakti yoga are chanting, either the meditation or the kirtan, the music meditation, or the regular meditation where you sit and you meditate on the names of God. The sangha, the association, like we had on Saturday, people there interested in spiritual development, conversations which help us to understand how to develop spiritually. Then swadhyaya means study of sacred texts like Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because when we cultivate knowledge about the true nature of things, the true nature of the soul, the true nature of the body, the true nature of our and purpose of our existence, that gives us strength, perseverance, determination on our path. Without knowledge, what happens is we can do things for so long on sentiment. Oh, I like to go to this place. I like that person. But it's knowledge that gives real substance to our sojourn, to our journey, in our path. So that's why swadhyaya means study of sacred text, and it also means self-study. There has to be an element where we are studying ourselves, our psychological dimension, our physical dimension. This is a very important component in bhakti yoga. The fourth thing is to go to places that are infused with spiritual shakti. These are called holy places. And depending on what path you are following, there are different holy places which offend you, which inspire you. In India, there are many holy places of Krishna or Ram. and you go to those holy places like Vrindavan, and you get inspired. You actually palpably feel the energy that's there. And when you focus your bhakti yoga there, you concentrate your efforts there, you really feel a transformation taking place. So going to holy places. And the last thing is the various rituals. Tantra, from the bhakti perspective, means the development of rituals that will help you to remember and cultivate and expand your relationship with the Supreme. That's Tantra from the bhakti perspective. So these rituals, like we do with the deities or fire sacrifice or different things like that, are very important. So those are the five powerful elements of bhakti that when we incorporate it within our life, it helps to bring our perspective into balance, and it helps with the transformative process where we can actually see deeper dimension. Okay, so text 21 reads as follows: that which the Vedantas described as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns. That is my supreme abode. This is Krishna speaking. So, what does he mention? He mentions a few things here. He mentions destination. And this is an important aspect of our development. And this eighth chapter talks about there is a destination. There is a purpose to meditation and yoga, and that is to cultivate a internal and external environment which is conducive to your practice of yoga, to your meditation, to your kirtan, to your sangha, everything which creates an internal and external environment which is conducive to your development spiritually. So this Krishna is saying infallible. Infallibility means there's nothing wrong with it. It's eternal and it's truth. It's a truth existence that is eternal. That is the nature of the existence, the spiritual existence that Krishna is talking about. Now, how can we meditate on that? Because Krishna has advised us in the eighth chapter, this eighth chapter that we're studying, way back in the fifth. Who remembers the fifth verse of the eighth chapter here? Okay, let me. It's a very important verse, and let me get to it. Okay, here we go. 4, 5. What does Krishna say? He says, and whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature, the spiritual nature. Of this, there is no doubt. And then, because the point is so important, he reiterates the point in text 6. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So the goal of our yoga process, our yoga practice, is to have smarnam, to develop smarnam. Smarnam means remembrance. Remembrance of our spirituality, being Sat Chit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. That is our nature, as opposed to the nature of the material body, which is temporary. It's not eternal, it's temporary. Everybody can see that. We experience a great deal of unhappiness for various reasons during the course of our journey in this body. And there is ignorance there. We are beset with ignorance and varying degrees depending on the level of consciousness one has developed. But in the spiritual dimension, Krishna says there is none of that. It's Sat Chit Ananda. That is the nature of the self, right? The spiritual dimension of the self. And in order to connect with it, we have to practice. Yoga means sadhana. Sadhana means that we do something regularly over a long period of time. So part of your yoga practice in bhakti, what is our sadhana? My sadhana, I'll give you for an example. I'm a bhakti yoga practitioner since 1972. So what is part of my sadhana? My sadhana is every day, without fail, I meditate for 2 hours on the Hare Krishna mantra. 3 times a day, when the sun is in the sky, but not in the sky. That means, when the sun hasn't risen yet, but the rays of the sun are in the sky. When the sun is overhead in full manifestation, and then when the sun again is in the sky, but not in the sky, that's called sunset. Those 3 times I chant the Gayatri mantra. So ever since being initiated into the Gayatri mantra by my teacher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, I've been chanting that Gayatri mantra religiously every day for 54 years. So part of my sadhana is the chanting that I do, the meditation, the Hare Krishna mantra, the Gayatri mantra, at those 3 key points of the day. The offering of everything I eat is not just eaten, not consumed, but it is offered out of gratitude through prayer, through different types of prayers to the Supreme. Every day, that's part of my sadhana. Part of my sadhana is swadhyaya, self-study and sacred text study, right? That's, again, part of my sadhana. And, as much as we can, we have various types of offerings and kirtans to Krishna during the course of the week. Every weekend, we go to some kind of kirtan program. So this is all part of my sadhana and has been as such in greater or lesser degrees. When I was a monk for 13 years, from 1972 to 1986, I lived in an ashram, and every morning we would do 5 hours of intense sadhana, meditation, study, classes, artis, all of these different things. So this is sadhana. So it helps us to develop remembrance. It's actually practical demonstration that you're serious about remembering your connection to the Supreme. How does anyone become expert? This is a constant conversation between my son and I. You can't get away with developing an expertise in something, music, art, whatever it may be, unless you practice, you do it over and over again. Look at the Olympic athletes. I had a friend when I was living in New York. His name was Arthur Rames. He was an amazing musician, amazing. He played with Vernon Reid and Stanley Jordan and all kinds. He never became famous for some reason. I guess it wasn't his karma. But he was an amazing musician. And he played guitar, saxophone, and keyboards. And he was equally good in all 3 instruments. It wasn't like, oh, he can just play a little guitar. No, he played guitar. Oh, he could just play a little sax. No, he played sax. oh, he just played a little keyboards. No, he played keyboards really well. It's because when he was a young man, he practiced 5, 6 hours a day. So he did not develop that ability just randomly. It just came to him. He was a child prodigy. He worked very hard. Olympic athletes, they'll practice 8 hours a day. So this is a determining factor. So what to speak of one of the most important things that we have to do in our life, our spiritual development, so that if we cultivate this kind of remembrance, this mindset, so that at the point of death, when the soul is leaving the body is no longer able to facilitate the soul. That is what death is described as in the Vedas. The body, either due to age or illness or whatever the circumstance may be, trauma, the soul is no longer able to maintain its presence in that body. And then it departs. But at that critical juncture where the soul is leaving, consciousness is still there. It may not be external, but consciousness is still there because consciousness never leaves the soul. The soul is eternally conscious entity. So, if we cultivate our attachment to this world, all we have at our disposal in terms of remembrance at that critical point is what we did in our life, which at that point in time is history. It's past tense. Even if you had a wonderful life, even if you had no want for anything, and you had virtually little suffering in the course of your life, it's still history. What projects you to your next destination, Krishna says in verse 5 and 6, is where your consciousness is at. So if your consciousness is in the past, then all I can do, the only situation that consciousness has, the only option the consciousness has to go to is in a similar situation, meaning another body, another family, another situation in this mortal world. And that's not even taking into consideration what you've done in the course of that life. If you've done things which are contrary to universal principles, you've broken universal laws, you've acted without dharma or responsibility, then, you could regress in terms of the level of consciousness that you'll have. So what Krishna is trying to tell us here, why he's talking about the material world in its manifest state, material world in its unmanifest state, and the spiritual dimension, because he wants us to exercise our independence, no force involved here, exercise our independence at choosing the option of eternality, where there is no suffering. It's a blissful state of existence. But we can't do that. We can't achieve that unless we're connected to it at that critical juncture. Because you never know when it's going to happen. You never can tell. I mean, some, have some warning, others not. So that means yoga is meant to develop a control of consciousness, control of mind, so that there is a recognition, there is a steadiness, a stability, a kind of peace that's there where you can actually focus on what you did in your sadhana to develop, to cultivate a remembrance of your relationship with the Supreme. It can happen. It can occur. I've seen in the course of my life, in the history of my life, I've seen devotees actually depart this world in a very peaceful state, even though they may have been riddled with cancer, they may have had kidney failure, so many things could have happened. But at that critical juncture, they were peaceful. Their faces were peaceful. Their bodies were peaceful, because that is indication that their minds, their consciousness are fixed on the destination. And that destination is union with the Supreme. And in bhakti, it's very specific relationship. It's relational absorption with the Supreme in any one of the loving aspects, or any one of the loving dimensions. Let's continue here. Text 22, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. So Krishna is saying, through bhakti. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within. Because of that all-pervasiveness, he's everywhere. Therefore, one can cultivate an awareness of that all-pervasive presence of the Supreme. And in any situation, at any time, any place, any circumstance, one can remember. Fix the mind. Doesn't matter. Text 23, O best of the Bharats, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. So now Krishna is going to say there are certain times of the day or night that when you leave the body, it's an indicator of where the soul is going to go. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god, Surya, or the sun, in the light, at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. So when fire, light, day, and fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that over all of them there are various presiding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. At the time of death, the mind carries one on the path to a new life. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possible for him to attain Brahman, Brahmajyoti, one's spiritual nature. Mystics who are advanced in yoga practice can arrange the time and place to leave the body. One such mystic yogi was Bhishma, when he was in the battle of Kurukshetra in the Mahabharata, and he was pierced by hundreds of arrows. He did not die. He wanted to wait for the perfect time to depart. And he did, even though he was riddled with arrows. The story of the passing of Bhishma Dev can be read in 2 different places, the Mahabharata or the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a chapter or 2 in the Bhagavatam which talks about that and the profound instructions that he gives. Riddled with arrows. He's actually lying on a bed of arrows because so many arrows are through his body. He can't lay on the ground. The arrows serve as his bed. Text 25, the mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. So that means you don't get out of this world. Best case scenario is you can go, according to the Vedas, each universe is comprised of 14 planetary systems, some higher, some lower, and Earth planet is in the middle. It's not heavenly like the higher planets. It's not hellish like the lower planets. It's not hell per se, as you may get in the the Abrahamic religion perspective, that you're condemned to hell for an eternity. It's nothing like that. It means another life in a place where conditions are not great, the more hellish conditions. But the soul continues its journey. The only place where the soul is stuck eternally is in the spiritual world. And you're really not stuck there because you're in a total blissful state, in a total loving relationship with the Supreme and perfectly satisfied. Text 26, according to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world. So this is reiteration of that point, those 2 points, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Text 27, although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjuna, they're never bewildered. Therefore, that state of fixed consciousness means you're not bewildered when that time comes. It's not traumatic. It's just understood. When you understand what's going on and what you need to do when something is going on, then you're able to retain composure, right? If you don't understand, you're caught by surprise, you don't know what's going on, then you get rattled. But if you understand what's going on, you can brace yourself, you can prepare yourself. And this is what Krishna is saying. They're never bewildered due to that sadhana, due to that practice, due to the cultivation of that strong mind and control over the senses. And then the last verse, text 28, and we'll be finishing on time. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from the studying of Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service or bhakti, he attains all of these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. And that ends the 8th chapter and our discussion on the 8th chapter. And now I would like to open the floor up for any questions that you might have. Questions? If you want to share, a takeaway that you might have, something that you heard and, it stuck with you, and you want to share that with everybody. That's wonderful also. Any comment you want to make? Any addition? Any point of clarification? So,
I have a question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is that Rose?
There, Rose. This is me. I see Angelica
You-
also, but now I am the one who's talking. Yeah. Hi, Angelica.
Hi.
Yeah. First of all, now, thank you so much for this amazing, beautiful class again. Pure nectar. And secondly, it's the second time I've been thinking about it when someone brings it up. The times to leave the body, when you should you transcend. So my question is, let's say, because you said it can be arranged, right, Lakshmi?
Yeah.
So, like, let's say if the person, okay, he knows the person knows she's gonna die, or he's gonna die, so he asked the doctor to to end their lives at a certain time of the day. Would that also be? You think would that be a good thing? Like, would the person transcend then to the spiritual world if they do it? If they perform like a if they do it arranged that way through science, through medicine.
I understand what you're saying.
Mm.
We karmically, due to our actions and reactions, karmically, when we enter this body, part of our karma is we get a certain amount of breaths.
Mm.
Each body has a certain amount of breaths. And if you, once you use all those breaths, then you pass away, right? If you prematurely end your life, like what you're talking about, then what you're doing is you're not using those breaths. You're guaranteeing you're going back to the material world because karmically, this is what you have to experience. So if you prematurely take your life and in the way that you're talking about, even though I know people who do it, most of them have terminal illnesses, right? So they want to stop
That's
the
what I
suffering.
meant. Yeah, with a
Yeah,
terminal illness.
yeah, they want to stop the suffering. But the point is, their suffering is karmic. They're suffering for a reason. And if you live out your sentence, so to speak, if you experience what you're experiencing, you are in a position where you're free to go to get out of the shackles of the material world. But if you don't, then you are guaranteed to come back because karmically you have not experienced. That's why suicide is not a good thing to do because a person may be suffering emotionally, psychologically, physically, whatever the motivation is, but it ends nothing. Everything that they have to experience karmically, they still are carrying. So first off,
But what if
it's
it's not conscious and somebody else made that decision? Sorry. If the person is not conscious, then somebody
right.
else made that decision, like the parents or whoever is the guardian for that person. They told the doctor, okay, you can turn off the machines or you can do euthanasia, right? It's called like when you.
Yeah,
Well, that happened to my previous wife. She had a brain aneurysm, was brain dead, and it became the decision of her children that she was lying there, and they decided to turn off the machine, and she very shortly passed away. In that situation, I would think, especially because she and I and others, are conscious enough to say, don't leave me in that condition. So it actually was her desire because she had expressed that in life. And so in death, when they made that decision, they were, she was dead. Her body was dead. And I mean, her brain was dead and her body was just existing due to, the machinery, which is not natural. It's not a natural thing. So basically what you're doing by turning off the machinery is you're natural. Now you're back to where you were. And where she was, being brain dead, was that the body could no longer sustain itself. So the machinery was sustaining the body. That wasn't natural. So there's no reaction to that. That's okay. What you're doing is you're just saying, okay, let's start from square one. What happened? Your brain exploded. You had an aneurysm, and probably very shortly thereafter she would have died. But the EMT people took her to the hospital. The hospital put her on life support system, and then the kids had the decision to make in that regard, and they just made a decision that they knew their mother wanted. So that's different than saying going to, the angel of death doctor and saying, inject me. You're making a decision to cut your life short, and you still have life, you still have time, and it's different.
Can I add upon that? Because
That
I'm a
that that
hospice.
that 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 that, that was a very good question. Thank you.
Can
Thank you.
I add to that? Like
Is that Hita?
yeah,
Yes,
because
please, Hita. Go ahead.
because I'm a hospice palliative care doctor, and
Hmm.
so many times families ask for it. So the way it goes, I know it looks like that we are discontinuing or family is discontinuing. For example, in a scenario like for your wife, she would have actually passed away without artificial intervention by the EMT and hospital doctors.
Right.
So actually, the time was already there, but we
Right.
prolonged the suffering artificially.
Very
So
good.
that's
That,
not good. So breaths were already gone, but
right.
artificially we are trying to prolong it, and that causes too much suffering to the patient and family because that's not the natural way.
Right.
So all
Very
these
good.
bed,
Very good point. Very good point. Thank you.
yeah. So all these artificial things that we think that are good, but God, Jesus, or whosoever have already decided. Otherwise, that event would not have happened. It was not if it was not in our destiny.
Right.
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 You know.
Exactly.
So
And that
otherwise,
and that happened with my mother also.
yeah.
My mother was 92 years old, and she developed leukemia, a type of blood cancer.
Hmm.
So every 3 months, she had to get like a lot of blood. You know, she was losing a lot of blood. The cancer was eating her blood. And this happened twice, and it was my mother was in such suffering because, you know, she's such a lively person, and she had to go to the hospital, and they had to put pints of blood in her, and it was horrible. So
Right.
I spoke with my sisters because I was the power of attorney financially and medically, and I have two sisters, and I spoke to my sisters, and I said, you know, this is not fair to her.
Yeah.
We're putting her in the hospital, and what are we doing? We're feeding the cancer. We're not giving her life. We're feeding the cancer. We're giving the cancer more food. And I said, it doesn't make any sense. We should just tell the doctor. And the doctor was Indian and a Hindu. So, you know, she knew where I was coming from at least. And, you know, I spoke with my sisters. My sisters agreed. And we told our doctor, just make her comfortable, no more transfusions. And 3 months later, she passed. So, you know, the kinds of realities we have to deal with. But just as you're in that environment every day, Hita, you know, being a hospice palliative care doctor, you're there every day, and you see the anguish of the patient's family and all that.
Yeah.
But it is in their destiny, like when you have an aneurysm and the vessel blows up in your head, and that's it. It's shutting
That's
out.
it. Yeah.
It's turning off all the lights, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they come in with this artificial, you know, life system to keep the heart pumping and all that. That's not really good. Like you said, the soul is suffering because the soul wants to make the transition now.
Right. My soul is ready to leave. Even in that scenario of your mother's leukemia, if there was no blood transfusions, she would have gone peacefully even earlier. So we prolonged it. So we think that, that we are cutting off their breath. But breath was already ready to leave. We as a human think we are superhuman and we can override decision of destiny. And so we
Exactly.
keep doing experiments and things, and they have realized it after so many years that there are so many patients on coma lying on ventilator and suffering, and ultimately they die with a bacterial infection, viral infection, or fungal infection. So so who are we doing? So
Yeah.
saying that, even people who are suffering, I see, with severe pain and want the drugs, euthanasia, for them I feel that maybe their destiny, you know or
Right.
there's something good to it, that somehow god them gave them that decision or intellect to decide to end their suffering, which is also with the will of god.
Hmm.
Otherwise they wouldn't be making that decision. No, so many people don't make that decision.
All right. No, that's for
Right.
sure.
So and
But
also we say time, place, and cause of death is decided.
right.
Somebody has in destiny that they are going to go through mental depression or suffering or anguish and such a bad disease that they will no longer want to live and commit suicide in their own way. That also probably is destined. you know we can't go, because if it is not, they wouldn't do it.
Right. Right.
Even major depression now, everybody's saying was a sin earlier if they committed suicide. Now, so many children are doing it, teenagers are doing it, elderlies are doing it. I see so many, even hospice patients, in spite of comfort care, they chose to kill themselves, which I feel isn't their destiny. We don't know if their soul was meant to be like that, or journey was meant to be like that, by
Yeah.
self, this thing. So I don't
Well,
judge that way.
definitely based on what we know, from Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic texts, that everything we experience is reaction. Everything positive and negative in our life is the result of good karma or bad karma.
Yeah, prarabdha karma. So we
Yeah.
can't, yeah. So if their prarabdha was to die by suicide or by murder or by an accident,
Right.
that's it. And that means after that they have to get another body. Or,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I used to go through a lot of dilemma also, that whether we are pulling out the plug or we artificially already prolonged it enough that now we have to remove that artificial thing and we feel bad.
Right. Yeah. But the advantage is, I mean, we knew that my mother couldn't last very long.
Yes.
So if I put in there a 24-hour recording, a loop of my spiritual master chanting Hare Krishna 24/7. So
Yeah.
she passed,
Peacefully.
peacefully hearing the holy names of Krishna. We were able to at least control the environment to that degree, where that was her. She could have gone to the hospital, and the chaos and confusion and all that, it would not have been as conducive as the situation that she was in and experienced.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gita.
Yeah. So I
Does any?
always feel that rather than saying that we stop the treatment, we let them go naturally as per God's will.
Yes.
That will be better.
Yep. Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
Okay.
Prabhuji,
Lakshma,
Mataji,
sorry. I just have
Prabhuji,
just something to make it clear, like in my mind. Let's say, so if the mind is already gone, the discernment, the brain, so is the soul still there?
Yes.
Soul is stuck.
Just because-
Neither
The-
here nor there. Stuck.
yeah, it's in a kind of a subtle transitory position, because what is the brain or the mind? The mind is the medium by which consciousness can be projected into this world. Perception, that's all the attributes of consciousness. So it's like a tool, which allows the soul's consciousness to be projected in this world and to perceive this world. So the soul is there. It's in a state of limbo, I guess.
Yeah, limbo. That's what it is.
And it's waiting for the subtle connection that is there, the subtle element that's connecting it. And when that is broken, that connection is broken, then it goes on to its destination.
So this
And
element of connection, Lakshmi, would that be like the heartbeat, the breathing? What would you say with the soul?
Well, it's like a tether, it's like almost like your umbilical cord, so to speak. It's what keeps the soul. It's the subtle elements comprised of mind, the mind element that maintains a connection between the gross body and the subtle existence. So it's a subtle element, predominantly of the mind element, basically, that keeps the connection there.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else have anything? Angelica?
Yes. Well, I have two things now, because I think the connection, or the thing that maintains our soul, or right, I think it would be the feeling of love, because I know that a lot of people, they kind of wait to see the loved ones before expired.
I just heard something. I don't know if it's scientifically proven or not. I heard that um, that quite often, and again, I don't know if this is a scientifically researched statement or not. Quite often, the person waits till their loved ones
Okay.
leave physically the room.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
They don't want to leave in front of them, if they have an element of control of consciousness.
Okay.
And maybe someone with lesser control, they can die in front of their kids. But I've heard very recently we were talking about something and someone had mentioned that.
Yes. Okay. And another thing, because we're talking about people who actually it's like in the in the deathbed or illnesses or but there's other people, other cases that by accidents or whatever the reason will be. So I think I take the light and darkness more metaphoric, because who's gonna wait for the fourth month of the warning moon? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like impossible. So I'm thinking that talking about the light and the darkness, it's more the way we live our lives. If we live our lives in the dharmic way, or like like you said, it's the karma. See, if we go into the light and then we don't reborn, that's the way I take it, the light and the darkness.
Yeah,
And
it
you
can be symbolic of clarity. I'm reading right here now in my notes. The path of light are symbolic of clarity, spiritual knowledge, and upward movement of consciousness. The path of smoke, characteristics, smoke night, dark fortnight, southern solstice. Results lead to heavenly realms and then return to rebirth. So there can be some symbolic meaning to that time, but also there is actual physical, there is those time periods, and the yogis who are very advanced can wait or do wait for those auspicious moments. And then even in between there are very like for instance in the path of darkness, I'm sure if we research it, there are auspicious moments within that time frame, like Ekadasi, or the rising of the sun. I think there are also auspicious time periods within the overall time period of darkness or within the time period of light. There's especially auspicious times that because I've heard on almost every death that I've come in contact with, especially amongst the devotee community, when a person has left their body at a particular juncture in the daytime or nighttime, the people would say that that was an auspicious moment. So I think that's also there too. It's not just
Right.
like, it's not, I don't believe it's total, that's 6 months. If you die within that 6 months, you're going to hell. No, I don't think it's like that. But it's kind of like an indicator of, when a person dies. So it can have some symbolic meaning. There can be auspicious moments which pepper that time. Yeah. Thank you, Angelica. Very nice observation. Anyone else have anything else to say? Any observation or something you'd like to share? If not, I do appreciate your association this evening. And I'm still kind of riding high on the nice program we had Saturday night. And gratitude to all of you that showed up or were able to show up. And if you would like to see it, I think it's recorded on if you go on to my page, I believe it's there for a period of time. I think it's for 30 days. It's there. You hit on the profile and you scroll down and you'll see it's really quite nice. Some really nice kirtans and so.
Do you
There
have
are
a
some really
Facebook?
nice videos on in the invitation group.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
was watching there. Yeah.
Do you have
So
a Facebook page?
I
I mean YouTube, because it says here that you have
do.
a maybe
I do.
maybe.
I haven't transferred Saturday night's kirtan there
Oh, okay.
yet, but if you go on my Facebook page,
Oh.
it's there.
Hmm.
I have to say that
You-
it was magnificent. I've had the pleasure of attending Prabhu's Love Feast many times. I've been very blessed, and this one felt very, very special nonetheless. So if you had time and you want to chant the Lord's praises, I highly recommend it.
yeah. So thank you for that plug. And the next one will be June 7th, and June 7th is a very special day. It's the birthday of our beloved Sri Hari. And so we will have the pleasure of hopefully having his association that day, even if we don't, if he's elsewhere, if he has to go elsewhere with family, whatever, we will remember him. And the next day is my birthday, June 8th. So we'll be celebrating some ancient birthdays.
Prabhuji, can you send the link for your YouTube or for this
Yeah.
this thing? Because I couldn't attend also. I was in Buffalo, my niece graduation. And all next weekends also I won't be here. So I'll be only connecting through the links and YouTube.
Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, I am on Facebook.
If you go to my page and you go, you can scroll down, you'll see.
Okay, so what is your name on the Facebook? Same?
Lakshmi Nrsinga Das. So Lakshmi
Okay.
is spelled Lakshmi.
So yeah. So I'll have to send you an invitation and you'll accept it like that.
Yeah, if we're not Facebook friends, send me an invitation and I'll friend you. Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
your participation, your kindness, and great questions and good discussion. And have a very happy, healthy, and holy week. And I look very much forward to seeing you next Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. And
Prabhu, I'm
for
sorry
the
to interrupt. If you don't mind, if it's
uh-huh.
okay, since folk are asking, I'm putting the direct link to that Facebook video from our kirtan in the chat. So
Oh, great.
before you sign off, if you're curious how to get there or how to access it, you can go in the chat of this Zoom right now, even from your phone, and tap the link. It'll
Okay.
take you to the webbook, to the Facebook page, directly to the video, or it'll take you to your Facebook app directly to the video. So if you're not sure how to
Okay.
get there, the link is there now for a few short seconds before Prabhu says goodbye.
Okay. All right. I'll
Yeah,
do
so
that.
I'll give you, and it's so nice to have someone who knows what they're doing and
Who's
and can.
playing piano? I see somebody playing piano. I click
That's
on.
Victor,
Oh,
who just
nice,
spoke.
nice. Wow, very nice.
Victor
You
plays
know,
wonderful piano
Lakshmi,
during our kirtans. Yes, Trish.
Lakshmi, I did have an aha moment after the program at the end, and it was so incredible. The chanting elevated me so much, and my heart was so open. And when the Swami gave the talk at the end, he said something that I've heard and read many different times about how time doesn't exist, but when your thoughts are stuck in the past or the future, that you're caught in time. And I've heard this before, but I was on a walk the next day and it really gave me an aha moment. And it really hit me in a different way.
Yeah,
And
it
thank
was a
you.
realization, right?
Correct.
It became a realization that knowing something when you experience it, right? then it becomes a realization. It goes from jnana, knowledge, to vijnana, realization. And those realizations inspire you further on your path. So I'm so happy that was your aha moment. Please.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you again. I have to
Thank
go.
you.
I have
Thank
to
you.
go and get
Hari
ready
Bol.
for
Okay.
tomorrow, taking my son to the train station. They're doing construction there, so it's really crazy. We have to get there early.
Is this class being recorded? Is this class also going to be on Facebook?
It will
Okay.
be on it will be on YouTube, on my
YouTube.
my YouTube channel. It will be there. Yes.
Okay. Someone is asking. I'll tell them.
Can you
Yes.
send us a link for YouTube also? Do you have a link or something?
Yes. I think I can figure that out. If I can't, my son certainly can.
We don't want to
Yeah.
let you go.
Unless Victor can do that really quickly too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've never been to your YouTube. Probably this would be a lesson for me also.
Oh, okay. Well, it's there. It's under my name, I think, right? Lakshmi Nrsimha Das,
Yes.
right? Shrihari?
Yes.
Lakshmi Nrsimha. And just the spelling, just make sure you know the spelling, because Lakshmi is spelled a few different ways.
In the page, if you go up to the right, it says YouTube. You click there, and it takes you to you. You see, it says on the right, upper right, YouTube. If
Yeah.
you click it, it will take you to your web to your channel. Click it
Oh,
there.
here on
Yeah,
our.
up on the right. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
seeing it. I don't know if everybody sees it, but
I don't see it because I have
up in
everybody.
the right, it says YouTube, and I clicked it, and it took me straight to Gita Wisdom with
Oh, okay.
Lakshmi. It's called
Oh,
Okay,
would
Gita
you mind
Wisdom,
posting that link in the chat?
and Lakshmi Nrsimha. That's how you're naming. In
Yeah,
YouTube.
LAKSMI, Laksmi Nrsimha Das. So it's on YouTube, and all the previous classes are there. So we're recording it. That's why you see my son's little head popping up in the beginning, because he's doing it for me. Okay. Thank you, folks.
Oh, I see it. I see. Oh, hold on. Now we're on it. Now you got it. Now we can't. Sorry, Lakshmi. That's the way
Bed
these things
tonight.
go.
They're going to stay
All
here.
right.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
see it now. A share. I'm gonna do this. So you guys are in for it now.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank
Victor.
you, Victor.
Victor's
You're
our
welcome.
tech.
you,
Five,
Victor.
Victor's our
4,
tech support.
3,
Hari
2,
Bol.
1. There we go.
Hey.
It's in there. That's it.
No.
Take advantage, folks. I'll give you 10 seconds.
Where is it? It disappeared again. Victor, where'd you put it?
It's
You
I
gotta
put
hit
it in
the
the
chat.
chat. It says YouTube.
The
I
chat.
Okay,
have.
I got it.
Click
There
the
you go.
chat.
Just tap on it.
Okay, I just copied it.
Excellent.
All right, folks.
Hari.
Okay. 5, 4, 3.